Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Untitled Marvel Project. I'm your host, Tanner Dykstra. I'm here with Mr. Tucker Hazel. Today, we are breaking down episode 8, the penultimate episode of WandaVision. Uh, we
Big
got
boy
some,
word.
we got some, well, it is a big boy word. Thank you very much, Tucker. We got some reveals. We got some ramp up to the final episode of the first season of our first MCU Disney Plus show. So, Tucker,
Yep.
let's get right into it, shall we?
Wow, that was high energy.
Thank you very
That was
much.
a very falsified announcery voice way to say that.
Well, Tucker, I had to feign some high energy because akin to the last episode, episode 7, this one was just I said it was the penultimate episode, but it doesn't feel like it. Like
No,
this
it
didn't
doesn't.
drop any big bombs on us
Mm-mm.
necessarily. But it was mostly well, the episode title is previously on, and as you sort of picked up on before we hit play on it, is like, oh, this is going to be like some sort of like a flashback sort of episode. You thought it was Agatha, but we actually
Yeah,
got well, we did get a little bit of Agatha, but it was mostly Wanda flashbacks.
yeah.
So, first of all, let's start at the beginning of the episode. What do you think about the Agatha origin?
Yeah, sure. It makes sense. It's the very, yeah, predictable.
Very basic witch. As people expected, she is Agatha Harkness. Obviously, she has her origins back in the Salem witch trials, as some
Yeah.
people were
So
predicting.
apparently, I mean, I'm just confused by that whole scene because we didn't see her being a witch. We didn't see her doing something wrong that would warrant her being strung up and shot lasers at by other witches.
Yeah.
Um, so that was just weird that we sort of dropped in the middle of it, and it kind of made it feel like, okay, yeah, well, they're certainly showing us the
Well,
origin story.
it sets up her motivation that she's absorbing these people's powers. She
Hmm.
absorbs their powers, and she presumably wants to do the same to Wanda.
Yeah,
So that's why she's trying to figure out how she did this, how she came to inherit these great powers that she doesn't even really know that she has. These
yeah.
magical powers, I
Just
guess. Yeah.
Wanda's powers. Yes.
Yes. So we do get a sort of a tour through Wanda's childhood after
Hmm.
some bantering between Agatha and Wanda, which I didn't think was entirely charismatic or compelling, but
No, yeah.
it was lots of expository dialogue in this.
This was a recap episode,
Yeah,
somewhat,
basically.
and it also kind of a Scarlet Witch origin story episode, to be honest.
Honestly,
Um,
I mean, technically, yes,
yeah,
because
and
as
we
we'll get to
went through
later.
different aspects of her life, and I found it pretty ham-fisted and frustrating whenever Agatha would be like, "Hold on, all right, let me figure out what happened. So this
Mhm.
happened, this happened, this happened, this happened.
Like we
Oh,
know, we
yeah,
just saw that take place, and also some of that is things we've seen in previous movies, which
yeah,
is again me lamenting that this show is made for normies.
yeah." But also,
I'm
I
just
think
joking,
that for me,
obviously.
some of the earlier in her life ones. I mean, this was kind of a It's a Wonderful Life deal. Looking
Yeah.
back,
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
or no, sorry, not It's Wonderful Life. Uh, Scrooge thing.
Scrooged.
No,
Ebenezer Christmas Story.
No,
A Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol. Yes, I couldn't
Thank
remember
you.
the name of it.
We'll put
Kind of
that
a
on the
Christmas Carol thing
thumbnail.
where they're going through her life and they're watching it, but she also becomes the thing. Like, why does Agatha have these powers to go back into her memory? Like, there's a whole
Yeah.
series of like not explaining here, but they were just like, okay, well, we need expository dialogue. We need origin story here, and I thought that was kind of forced. And I also thought that some of the sitcom stuff that was showing why she was inspired to create sitcoms was pretty ham-fisted as well. And it was just we
Yeah.
watched like sections of episodes and they were like, oh, look at it, it's funny.
That whole
It's
I really hated that whole sequence in the apartment when she was a child. Like the acting was just very wooden and cheesy, and I
Yeah, and
hated
the
it.
dialogue was just like, yes, this is why sitcoms are funny. Yes, we are not Americans, but we speak pretty damn good English. They forgot like two words,
Yeah.
but that was the extent of them not knowing English.
Yeah. I also like just a quick thing. I like that Agatha kind of makes fun of the fact that Wanda's accent comes and goes just
Yeah, for a
whenever.
second.
Um, so we had Child Wanda, we get the Stark bomb thing, and we Agatha sort of hints at the fact that even as a child, Wanda had these abilities. She affected probability. She
Yeah,
affected the probability that the bomb would not explode and kill her and Quicksilver. Oh,
yeah,
speaking of Quicksilver, we did get confirmation that Agatha could not do necromancy on the actual Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver
yeah.
because his body was on another continent and filled with bullet holes, and it's been about 5 years, as you pointed out. So
10 years.
10 years almost.
In the MCU, it's probably
Yeah.
been a decade. Yeah.
And then there was something, I forget what she really said about why it was Evan Peters. She just kind of she used
No,
some fancy
she
schmancy
said she
words.
said Fietro,
Yeah,
which was
Pietro.
annoying. I hated that.
Yeah.
But she basically was saying like, "Oh, I was trying to get close to you because you were revealing things to your brother."
Yeah. Well, she said she gives an explanation as to she uses some fancy smanchy words as to why it was Evan Peters and not
Mhm.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't really remember. And at the end of the day, that seemed like a much bigger thing at the time. When I
Yeah.
think it was more just like a fun little reference. It seems
Mhm.
like.
Did actually looking back, and I mean obviously hindsight, but that kind of kills the hype of that reveal for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the inclusion and him being a fun character and him having the relationship with the kids and all that. It's like, oh well, it was Agatha all along.
Well, he's still out and about, as we saw at the end of the
True.
last episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's still a person. He's still
He's
involved.
yeah.
But does he have abilities? Probably not. We
Well,
don't
no, he
know.
does. He has super speed. We see it multiple times.
Does he have abilities now that like Agatha's not controlling him or whatever?
I think she still is. I think she's still controlling
We'll have to
everything.
see. I
Yeah.
mean, we got that tease in the first post-credit scene. Episode 7, they did a Monica and Pietro stinger.
Yeah, that's what I was
Nothing
talking.
of
Yeah.
that from this episode.
No, this was all Agatha, all Wanda.
Yeah, it was all Agatha all along.
Yep. Okay, we're moving on to a later point, just before Age of Ultron in Wanda's story, where
Mhm.
she's being experimented on by Baron von Strucker.
Yep.
She has a sort of hallucination vision experience with the Mind Stone that comes from
Mhm.
Loki's staff.
Yeah.
And in that vision, she sees sort of like a silhouette of what seems to be a classic Scarlet Witch outfit.
That's a little bit weird.
Because
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
she wore the outfit as a Halloween costume, but I can put that out of mind for like it's her seeing like a visage of her true powers, her true nature, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Or could be a Mephisto thing. I don't want to turn into like a classic could be a Mephisto guy, but could be a Mephisto thing. Just saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to say about that little scene right there?
I mean, it didn't really give us much. She kind of just went in, was experimented on, and collapsed on the floor, and then she was watching TV in her jail cell.
Yes.
Great. Didn't really mean much. Didn't really do much.
But then after that, we get sort of an emotional sort of scene between her and Vision in the Avengers compound.
Yeah.
Where Vision, they're humanizing each other. She's talking about all this grief that she's experienced, and he says some, sort of generic stuff like, "Oh, grief is what makes life worth living. It's what it's good to have had things, then lose them, and I have a sense of humor now, and I'm a robot."
Yeah.
And
I mean, honestly, I thought that was a pretty good scene. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Vision. I really do want him to be more fleshed out. Through this, and I guess I'm jumping ahead a little bit, we did figure out that the Vision that we are familiar with from the show is completely a projection of Wanda's abilities.
Well, yes.
Which means something. It means something for the end of next episode, most likely.
Yeah.
Either he's back because her powers allow that to like physically exist, or he has to go away.
Yes. So let's talk about that whole Hayward, his motivations, because we do get the full scene of what happened when she went to the sword compound where Vision's body was being held. Vision was completely dismembered. Yeah. Hayward would not allow her to go back and to take his body and bury him.
Mm-hmm.
And he did confirm that yes, they're trying to reconstruct and understand the most powerful sentient weapon ever made. And one is like, he's not a weapon, he's a person. But yeah, like you said, I lost my train of thought. Like you said, she did not take Vision's body. So the corpse that we saw briefly in one of the first episodes is not actually his corpse. It's hallucination. She completely made up Vision in her town of Westview
and her house.
Which
was revealed that there was plans for Vision and her to have had a house and a family living in Westview. Before he was killed by Thanos.
Yes.
Which is cool. I think that's an interesting story. It shows how their relationship was progressing. It gives her a little bit more of a motivation because she goes there, she looks at the deed, and then she's like, "Well, this sucks," and then she creates Westview, and the Westview anomaly.
Yeah, she transports it back to the 1950s.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty cool
It was
transformation.
cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we got anything huge there. I mean, it does call into question Hayward's motivations because he's lied multiple times about she stole Vision's body. She's using it for nefarious purposes. When in fact, at the very end of this episode, the post-credit scene, we see that he is in fact the one using it for nefarious purposes. He's transformed Vision, the colorful Vision that we all know and love, into the classic cream-colored Vision, the cream-filled Euclair Vision that we all love from the comics. And I think he's in some Avengers like side-scrolling cabinet arcade game as well. That's what I recognize him from.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that that's clearly going to be
He's
what
an
happens
evil
at the
Vision.
end. Is
Yeah.
I'm sure that she's going to have to fight him, and maybe she can project the creation of, like, happy Vision from Westview into the physical body and return the color to him, and mish him back together.
Yeah.
But also we still have Monica to worry
Yeah,
about and deal
Monica's
with.
still out and about. We got Jimmy
We got the
Woo. What's he gonna
kids.
do?
We got Woo. We got Darcy, who is in the anomaly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving cogs, and I think it makes me nervous for next episode, to be honest, because
Yeah,
there's a lot to deal with in the final episode. Like,
how are
this
they gonna
did not,
balance it all?
it didn't naturally ramp up to a final
No,
episode.
it did.
This
This is sort of
was
like a reel back. This is not a ramp. That's not a ramping upward. This is like a stepping back, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
be shoved through the door into the final episode.
Yeah, but I think that might cause some pacing issues, to be honest. At least from my
Honestly,
perspective.
I definitely agree. I feel like they could have done maybe like a split conclusion for this instead, but that's not
Sure.
what they went with.
Yeah.
And on top of all that stuff we just listed for the final episode, we still need to get the character reveal. Who's it going to be? It might be Mephisto. It probably not. Like you said with the Evan Peters thing, it's really made me lose a lot of faith in that this show is going to do anything big and bombastic with like
Yeah.
newly acquired Disney properties like the
Mhm.
Fantastic Four, the X-Men. Which I guess it's mostly on us for projecting
Yeah,
that
it's
onto
true.
this show. But it's a letdown nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that the weird build up to the aerospace engineer and possibly still being a character we haven't met yet, but also probably just the person that she called, who gave her the tank.
Might be Talos's daughter in disguise.
Why do people think that?
Because Talos's daughter, she was at the end of Captain Marvel, and then she stayed on Earth, maybe, or no, Talos stayed on Earth, and presumably so did his daughter, and now they're going to be friends because its time has passed.
We'll have to see. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm optimistic that they end it on a note that gets us excited, that brings in some new ideas, that
Yeah.
leads us to something for the future, that connects to Doctor Strange, that gives us the character reveal of, or the actor reveal of, what Paul Bettany was excited for.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff they can do. I'm just worried that it's going to be really overwhelming. However, that's what we thought about Infinity War and Endgame, and those turned out fine. So
that is true.
And I think maybe this will be the episode that's longer. Do you think the conclusion will be a little bit longer?
I think we probably get like an hour, close to an hour at least,
Sure.
for the final one. But I'm excited. I'm still want to see how this all wraps up. What happens with cream-colored Vision? What happens with is Mephisto gonna be there, folks? Is Mephisto gonna be there or not? Is he?
We'll have to see. And if he is, I think that's the stinger that ties it to Doctor Strange.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they have to do a defeat of Agatha.
Yeah,
she's the villain for this show.
She's the villain.
Set her up,
yeah,
and she hasn't been
get a name.
She hasn't been torn down yet. I mean, what was the last thing we saw her doing? Holding the kids on a leash? Was that the last?
Yeah, I think so. Right.
That was a weird sequence.
It was very strange. And do we get a kid's age up in this? You said while we were watching that, you think in the final episode there's going to be a sort of sacrifice Vision or the kids. Who's Wanda going to pick to take with her out of the hex?
Yeah, and I think that that's sort of my thing, is like, she has to like realize that her love for him ended up creating all of this, ruining so many people's lives, but it did give her the children. And with Vision's gonna be like, again, sacrifice himself for the kids, have that similar moment to Infinity War, where he's like, it's okay, like, we had good times together, remember the good and not the bad, and then that's why we don't have Vision anymore. Even though we have the physical Vision, I'm sure she has to destroy that body.
Yeah.
And we have the made up Vision she can't have both. So something like that. I mean, it's
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
possible that he still is around,
yeah,
but I think they need some sort of weight to this, and having Vision really not be around anymore.
yeah.
I
But
mean, he was originally not around anymore, and now he's around
now he's
again. And
really not going to be around anymore.
hope maybe we'll see.
But yeah, we will see, because there's lots of stuff that they could still do. They could drop something huge in our lap. So that's why you need to come back next week to see us recap the final episode, the finale of
Yep,
WandaVision. I think we're gonna stay up until 2 a.m. to watch it.
I'm down for
So
that.
yeah, let's do it. Well, why not? Why not? But thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell, join the Discord. There's probably a link in the description to join
Yeah,
our Discord. We talk about WandaVision. Sometimes we talk about video games. We talk about TV. We talk about many, many things. So,
let
many, many things. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.